Good morning, everyone. My name is Marty Paginen, and on behalf of Tina and the boys and the rest of the family, I want to welcome everyone here today. Thank you so much for coming. We are absolutely filled here in the chapel, and there are actually several other rooms in the funeral home where friends and family members as well have gathered together. And so we thank you so much for your patience and flexibility in us accommodating everyone here today. As you know, we've come together to pay tribute to Tom White, to acknowledge his passing, but also we're here to celebrate his life together. When someone whom we love so deeply passes away, especially in such a sudden and tragic way, it has an immediate impact on us. We encounter a wide range of emotions, some of which are fairly new to us. We feel a sense of grief and sadness, and we give ourselves permission to express the emotions that we're feeling in our own unique way. We speak words of meaning and comfort to each other, but honestly, sometimes we just stand or sit in silence because the words that we share seem so inadequate to express our heartfelt thoughts. And in the middle of a time of grief, we gather together just like we are doing this morning. We gather together to bring a measure of comfort to each other. We gather together to pay tribute to a life that was well lived, to commemorate a life and acknowledge its passing, to identify and celebrate the wonderful attributes and character qualities that are worthy of recognition. We also gather together to share memories that we hold close to our hearts that remind us of how special someone was to us. And in doing all these things, we bring honor to a life that has honored. With that in mind, I'm reminded of the words that the ancients wrote when they said that the Lord himself is close to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit. God is our refuge, our strength, a very present help in trouble. There is a poem that is quite often read at funerals and memorial services like this. Before I read it, I'll tell you a little bit about the author. The man who wrote it, his name was David, and I think Tom would have liked David because David was a man's man, if you will. He worked outdoors, worked with his hands. He was a very strong physically man. He was somebody who was skilled in the use of the weapons of his day, even though he lived thousands of years ago. And so if you push David, he would push back. He could defend himself if needed. He was also a natural leader. People were attracted to his integrity and to his character, and he literally moved up the ranks to become the leader of his nation, the king of his country. But he also had another side to him, and that side included the fact that he was a very talented and skilled musician. He was a poet, he was an author, he was a songwriter. And I think if you got to know David personally, even though he had this sort of rough and tough exterior, you would have found that he has this very warm and sensitive and romantic side inside. When I think about a man like that, I think here's somebody that can face anything that life throws across the path of his existence, that life brings to him. But the reality is that David, like all of us today, experienced the sadness and the grief and the sorrow in saying goodbye to loved ones in his own life. And he sought and found comfort as well. And so it was thousands of years ago that King David of Israel wrote what we now call the 23rd Psalm, and it reads as follows. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures, he leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I am absolutely convinced that everyone's life is a gift. Would you agree? Everyone's life is a gift. Everyone's life is special. And it's interesting that everyone's life tells a story. And it might not be a story for everyone in the world to listen in on and be interested in, but those who are connected to an individual through family relationship, through friendship, through love, the story of someone's life is worth retelling. It's worth appreciating as well. And Tom's story began back on November the 2nd, 1975. He was born to Ren and Debbie in the city of Brampton, one of two children, a brother to Angela. There were so many things that were common about Tom's life that we share together. I mean, he grew up, he was active, went to school, celebrated birthdays and holidays with his family and friends, and began to find his way in life. And there were also many things that made Tom unique as well. He worked at Chrysler. He was blessed with an absolutely extraordinary wife and 4 beautiful boys, and was blessed with a larger community of extended family members and friends as well. Tom loved to be outdoors, riding his ATV. He found a very fun and welcoming community with others who shared that interest and passion, as you all know. He enjoyed hockey. Obviously, the Montreal Canadiens were his favorite team. And yes. And even though I see some people wearing Toronto Maple Leafs jerseys, the sentiment is there as well. The sport is something that draws us together for sure. Tom also enjoyed playing golf with his sons, his regular Friday night poker game with his friends as well. Tom had a good attitude, was very positive. He always seemed to be happy, but again, he wasn't a pushover in any sense of the imagination. He was loving and loyal as a husband and a father. He was a man who was generous and compassionate towards others, always willing to support anyone who needed help, even if it meant opening his home if he needed a place to stay with no questions asked. Tom will be remembered as someone who always had a bottle of apple juice with him and who liked to share his ice cream with Portia, his dog. I read some of the online tributes for Tom. Some individuals wrote, he was very respectful and always had a smile. He was deeply loved and is already being missed. He was very witty and friendly. Although we didn't know him long, we felt that we knew him well. He welcomed us into the ATV family, and we enjoyed camping and riding with him. He was a joy to be around. Tom had a big smile, but an even bigger heart. The story of his life ended. The last chapter was closed when he passed away on Sunday, September the 26th of this year. As you know, he was just 45 years of age. Survived by his dear wife Tina, by his children Dylan, along with Mercedes, Zach, along with Stephanie, Alex, along with Tasha, and CJ, along with Brooklyn. Also survived by his parents Ren and Debbie, his parents-in-law Katie and William. Tom was Poppy to Bentley and Jaden, and he'll be missed by his sister Angela, his sisters-in-law Tammy, along with Wallace and Julie, along with Eric, and his brother-in-law Byron, along with Rita. Tom was a loving uncle to Skylyn, Brittany, Sean, Katie, William, Haley, Carly, Kira, Shay, Andrew, Emily, and Ashley. And he was also a great uncle and a nephew and a cousin to many, many other people. You know, we pause in the service to read names, and I'm sure we could continue on and on with extended family and friends. Names are so important. But suffice it to say, everybody that is here today and all who had a connection with Tom were so meaningful to him in his life. And I think it's also worthy to express on behalf of all of the family members and acknowledge anyone who's made a memorial donation in Tom's honor to any charity. What a wonderful and significant way to honor this man's life. If you've not done so, you can certainly do so. And again, there's lots of opportunities for that as well. Well, at this time, I'm going to invite Rita, Tom's sister-in-law, to come. Rita has a poem that she's going to read and then sharing some words from relatives that are unable to be present today. And so, Rita, if you would, please.
Boo. Don't like this really. Sorry, ignore the jersey, it's all I.
We little knew that morning that God was going to call your name. In life, we loved you dearly. In death, we'll do the same. It broke our hearts to lose you. You did not go alone. For part of us went with you the day God called you home. You left us peaceful memories. Your love is still our guide. And although we cannot see you, you are always by our side. Our family chain is broken and nothing seems the same. But as God calls us one by one, the chain will link again. So from Mom and Dad Parsons, Tina and the boys, we love you all. Tom, we'll cherish all the talks we've had, all your memories. Until we meet again, love you always. From Tammy, Wallace, and all the kids, Tom will never be forgotten. He was loved by everyone that was lucky enough to know him. His smile was a constant in everyone's life. He's touched us all, and he'll be with us always. We can only imagine what Tina and the boys are going through right now, and it's with such a heavy heart, we wish we were there in person to show you all of our love and support. We miss you, and we love you all. From Byron, myself, and the kids. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. And one thing we know is Tom had a lifetime of playfulness and adventure in his years. His smile is always ingrained in our memories. His love, his support, his forgiveness, and his open home have given us all something to teach on how we should live life. Work hard, play hard, ride on.
Thank you so much, Rita. I played hockey as a kid. Grew up, actually, there were 4 boys in our family. We all played hockey. Whenever we could, road hockey and street hockey in the summer and ice hockey in the winter. And I remember as a youngster playing, we listened to our coaches very carefully, and a lot of times they said things that were very significant, things that I've literally carried with me for the entirety of my life. And I remember after one particularly bad game that we played, we were just trounced, and I forget the score, but it was ugly and awful, and we were all feeling really down at the end of the game, and one of our coaches got up in the dressing room and just said, you know what, guys, this isn't a learning time. Anytime you lose, anytime there's pain, anytime there's things don't go your way, you can always learn from that. And just want to let you know that when you go out the door and the door hits your butt on the way out, is how we put it, as I recall. He said, just let this game go into the past, forget about it, and just look forward to the next game. And that is great advice for hockey, but it's not for life, because life doesn't work that way. We do remember. The pain sometimes doesn't go away. The pain is always with us. And in thinking about what to share with the family members today, obviously so difficult to know exactly what to say. I wrote down 3 things that I wanted to share with you that I encourage all of us to take with us as we move forward. Very simple thoughts. And the first is this, that I think we celebrate Tom through memories that were shared with him. We're all here today on purpose, aren't we? Nobody just sort of walked in and sat down. Everybody that came in to this building today had a connection with Tom, and attached to those connections are memories, right? Some of the memories that you shared with him were public, others were a little bit more personal and private. And my encouragement to all of us is to certainly hold on to those memories. I think we bring honor to Tom, not by trying to forget, but by trying to remember, even though it is painful to do so. For some of us, we'll be able to speak freely. For others, we'll hold the memories very close to our hearts and treasure them because they are so valued. Either way, I encourage you and remind you that as we celebrate Tom, we'll do so through the memories that were shared with him. I also wrote down this, that I think we celebrate Tom through expressions of gratitude that we share with each other. You know, we live in a culture that's not always thankful for what we enjoy. And I think, quite frankly, we will honor Tom as we move forward by being thankful. Thankful for our families and our friendships. Thankful for our hobbies and pastimes, for the work that we do, the ability to support others and ourselves, the food and shelter we enjoy. And even as difficult as it is today, to be thankful to have been part of Tom's story, to have known him, and to have been part of his life. Leslie Gerber once wrote, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, but today is a gift, and that's why it's called the present." And I love that quote because it reminds us that today is the present. It's the now, but it's also what present, it's a gift. And even on difficult days, we can choose gratitude. And as we do so, I think we honor Tom in remembering him. And the final simple thought that I wrote down is that we celebrate Tom by living out the very best qualities he lived in his life. I believe everyone and anyone can live a life of greatness and goodness, a life where they reach their potential, whatever that may be, and a life where the very best virtues and values are expressed as well. There's so many wonderful character qualities we celebrate in Tom, aren't there? His sense of humor, his honesty, his loyalty and love towards those that were closest to him, his strength and resilience in times of difficulty. He was a committed and loyal family man, someone who found joy in the relationships he shared and the things that he did. And Tom lived out and modeled a life of virtues and values, honesty and hard work and dedication and loyalty and sacrifice and generosity. He had a quiet confidence in who he was. And as we live out these values in our lives, I think we honor Tom in his life. And so there are so many ways to remember someone and to honor and celebrate the memory of one. You'll walk through a cemetery, you'll notice that there are grave markers that honor someone's life. Sometimes we plant trees or place flowers on caskets or beside them. We make donations to charities, and all of those are wonderful expressions. But I think today I encourage us to celebrate and honor Tom through the memories that we shared with him, through the expressions of gratitude we share with each other, and by living out the very best qualities that he lived out in his life. And I know that as you move forward, you'll remember the good and the great things that made Tom who he was, and you'll live those out as a way to honor his memory. And as we move forward, I know we will continue to support each other as we grieve together. I was recently reading an article in a magazine about the sequoia redwood trees in California. These are some of the tallest trees in the world. They can grow up to 200 feet tall. But the interesting thing about these trees is that their root system is relatively shallow, only going down about 10 feet. And yet these trees rarely fall over. And the question was asked in the article, how come? Why do these trees stand and live for so long, even though their root system is so shallow, with storms and earthquakes and fires and flooding? And the answer is simply this, that the root system in those trees is interconnected. The trees literally grow holding each other up. And I thought, what a wonderful image and picture of what can be said of us. We have the ability to and the opportunity to remain close and to support each other during this difficult time. And I encourage us to do so. There are certainly stages of grief, but even those stages are so unpredictable and sometimes random. And so I encourage all of us as family members, as friends, as part of Tom's community, we will honor his life and will commit to take care of each other, embracing his value of helping others and giving ourselves and others kindness to grieve at our own pace and in our own time. Not how did he die, but how did he live? Not what did he gain, but what did he give? These are the units to measure the worth of a man as a man, regardless of birth. Not what was his church or what was his creed, but had he befriended those really in need? Was he ever ready with a word of good cheer to bring back a smile, to banish a tear? Not what did the sketch in the newspaper say, but how many were truly sorry when he passed away. On behalf, once again, of Tina and the boys, the rest of the family, I do want to express appreciation for you being here this morning for these moments to honor and commemorate Tom's life. It's so hard to know exactly what to say at a time like this, but may I just assure all of us that are here today, both in the chapel and the other rooms of the building, that your very physical presence here in person today speaks volumes of your love and your support to the family. And to Tina and the boys, we do express our deep and heartfelt condolences to all of you, and our thoughts and prayers will continue with you as you move forward. Tina has asked me to let everyone know that there is a time of gathering reception following the service, 46 Ravel Drive here in Fergus. You're more than welcome to come and continue to share stories and honor Tom's life together. We're not going to a cemetery today for a final committal, and so we're going to conclude the service at this time very briefly with a prayer of committal, of benediction, and then concluding with the Lord's Prayer. And so we pray now to conclude the service. Our God, may your presence give us comfort today and in the days to come. May your peace rest on us, and somehow may your blessings rest on all of Tom's family and friends at this very, very difficult time. We pause this morning to say thank you for the life of this man. In a world that is too often characterized by greed and hatred and violence and selfishness, we thank you for this man, Tom, who loved his family and loved other people and did what he could to make this world a better place for himself and others. We believe his memory and legacy will live on in the lives of those who loved him the most. We commit his body to the ground, his soul and spirit into your care, in faith and hope that you always do what is good. We now release Tom from our care to yours, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. May he forever rest in peace. And we pray in the name of the one who taught us to pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
I'll just ask the congregation to
It's
please
been
rise.
a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, the things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last spot.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
out your way in the vibe is feeling strong to a small, turn to a friendship turn to a bond, and that bond will never be broken, the love will never get lost. And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn, and that line is what we reach. So remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last one.
Let the light guide your way. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead to home. Oh, it's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about